Hello.
Back again.
Ladies and gentlemen, roosters and hens, and everything else in between, welcome back to Caulk Talk for another week with the Coop Collective. As always, I am Tyler at MBF Express. We have our producer, Josh at Grateful Coops.
Hello.
The man with the theories, Blake at Waddle Waddle Racing, and Dad back again after a little bit of hiatus, Pecking Order Racing. Dave, gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
Excellent.
Dave in his Team Canada shirt on.
Yeah, I was busy last Sunday.
He's excited.
Got a World Cup to go to.
Canadians play soccer?
We do now.
Football? Soccer? Football?
Is
So,
that
yeah.
Nice.
to keep warm
Nice.
for the hockey season?
Their favorite terrain is snow.
What do they do with all the ice? That would be a fun game.
They just sweep it off and they move it to
Soccer.
the side so it's all piled up on the ends.
Ice soccer.
Nice.
It was below freezing last Sunday, and the Jamaicans looked like they wanted nothing to do with
It
it.
is so messed up. It's so messed up. Using that to their advantage to get in. That's fine. I see him. Good job, Canada. I get you.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
So a pretty steady week. You know, we're getting used to these weeks of racing, just going along and not having too many issues. Obviously had one issue the other night of I think it was some gateway error or something like that, where we had a little bit of some downtime and whatnot, which we'll get into a little bit with some community feedback and whatnot. But all in all, still rolling right along, patiently waiting for talents to pop in. But for the most part, we're all still racing, but they are feeling a bit slow, aren't they?
Yes. I was about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Quite
They
so.
are. We haven't seen, it seems like the same. And when it is filling, it's the same coops that are running 5, 6, 7 races in a row. It seems like all together.
Yeah. It's definitely slowed.
And that's part of it. You know, obviously we put out the Google form this week to get a little bit of feedback from the community to see how they're feeling get a little temperature check, just to see how everything else is rolling this week, and how just kind of the state of how everyone's feeling. And we'll get into that a little bit later after the dev blog. But before then, something I think is important for this community to kind of start embracing, and, you know, really got to shout out Fledge on this one. He's been really leading this charge in a lot of ways with the idea of a new Web3 way of bringing in people. And as he said, waiting for the devs to do something is Web 2. So to get out there and get in Twitter and start talking to people and start getting that hype feeling, you know, right now we're looking at the last few weeks, probably before we start seeing talents. We didn't get any update this week in devlog with talents. We'll hear about that. We know they're all on that as far as wanting to get us to that point. But in the meanwhile, with the way the market is set up right now, we figured this is as good a time as ever to really start creating a little bit of buzz on Twitter and just starting that natural flow. So by the time that talents are here, it's not like it all of a sudden starts showing up in people's feeds. It's already been planting the seed a little bit. So we decided to put together a Twitter Raids channel and actually create a role in the Coop Collective Discord for Twitter Raids, just to start getting that out there. There's the NFT space is like that. There are people, there are threads all the time asking for engagement and what communities and this and that, and they don't always hit, but they're worth getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. It builds momentum for the project. It gets it exposure. I mean, the more tweets and retweets, even comments and an LFG here and there or a GIF, I mean, it goes a long ways.
It makes sense to do it before the devs pump in their marketing too. If we can get as much natural pump in as we can, you know, as the talents roll out, I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. And I mean, who doesn't want to show off when they get a win? Or pull off that come from behind win, or, you know, a story behind their chicken that they just bought, or their 200th chicken that they just bought. You know, it could be anything.
And on that note, because we have such a cool community and we have people that are engaged here, I actually had JOS Kent. He reached out to me a little bit earlier and was just kind of like, hey, you mind if I run a little bit of a giveaway based on the fact that we're pushing these Twitter raids, and Fledge has been finding them so well. And I was like, yeah, let's talk it out a little bit. And before you knew it, he and Fledge put together this pretty cool idea which will start as a meme competition, as we all know how those work, and it will evolve into something a little bit more, isn't it, Josh? You have it pulled up there, right?
Yeah, so it starts out, you enter the Twitter meme competition. The best Chicken Derby related meme, as judged by Fledge and Ken Street, will win Tweeter. That is a bird, an unraced 90 Lackenvelder, and the opportunity to win an even better chicken. In addition, the most liked meme tweet will also win a chicken donated by Fledge, so share your memes and drum up the excitement. Meme competition will run from now until midnight. Looks like UTC April 6th, about 72 hours from the time of this posting. Tag your entries with @Fledge and @Joss Kent Street, and the tagline, "We Race the Chickens." Any memes entered can be used by the whole community in the future to promote the game. The winner, this is where it gets fun. The winner of Tweeter will then have the opportunity to win another chicken. But to do so, they must race Tweeter for 28 days in at least 30 races. Yeah. So you get 7 chick races, and then that's 23 class races, which with at least 15 must be paid. So you can get some free ones in there, but the point of it is the winner must tweet about Tweeter's day on the track and any other interesting facts that they may want to share about Tweeter's life. They want to come up with their own story on and off the track. That's where it gets fun. You can get creative with it. And the aim is to build up a story that is interesting to follow and share the ups and downs Chicken Derby can give you. And if after 28 days of receiving Tweeter, the winner has raced at least 18 days and tweeted about Tweeter on at least as many days, they may choose one of the following chickens of their choice as their final prize, all unraced in open beta. And these are
some nice chickens,
solid birds.
Yeah, there's some really nice chickens here.
It's like we got a Rainbow Warrior 94 Dorking Classic. It's a nice bird. 97 Lack Whitebeak. 93 Striped Sapphire Sultan. And a 90 Sarama with the dig talent. Yeah.
Yeah, so the TLDR on this one is pretty simple. Make a meme, win the meme, win Tweeter. That was the 90 Lakenvelder. And then get creative. And it's going to be fun. Is every single time someone posts about a race that they put out, we'll put it in the Twitter raids. We'll engage the Twitter raids role. So we're literally, if you're in our Discord and you want to be a part of the Twitter raids, we already have created a role, just like our free race role, where everyone that wants it will jump in, we'll grab it, and we'll flood into Twitter, and we'll just start talking about these things. People can, kind of come up with their own. We can quote tweet it, talk about how it's going, if your bird went up against them, all these kind of things. So this is the kind of thing that if we can get 30, 40, 50 likes on these things every time they pop out there, it starts to accumulate a little bit. You just need 1 or 2 people to start retweeting it. Next thing you know, it's just a fun way to show that the community is doing something right now, and we're enjoying the game, which we all are. But let's get the Twitter. The Discord is great, and obviously the Discord is a perfect place to welcome people in, but Twitter is where we're actually going to find these new people from.
Dave, thoughts?
I like classics.
I don't think Dave has said a single word since we started, other than soccer right at the beginning.
He was looking at something in Snapback. I like classics. I was like, I want that classic. This is
great. And these two guys putting this together with these are some great chickens here. These are no slouches.
I think Josh just had a no look past to Dave, and he wasn't looking.
It's okay. I tried to talk, and I got bulldozed.
Bounced right off his face.
Now,
Dave, you threatened bulldozing me before the show, and that's
yes. So I think we've seen there's a lot of holders and not a lot of racing. So I think we've even seen people who don't even know that they can race yet. So hopefully by kind of getting the buzz level up on Twitter, I'm sure the main Chicken Derby account will be quick with their retweets as well. They retweet almost anything they're tagged in. So hopefully that'll help amplify things up another notch and just really make a little bit of noise. We've seen some less good projects than Chicken Derby make a lot of noise on Twitter and kind of get their pump just from rating, basically. Yeah. So, I mean, we've actually got a good product behind it. So
it is effective. And this
The
is
problem
not
is we're
meant
actually
to pump
racing.
bags or anything. This is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to get excitement around the game again. Because there was so much hype around this game 8 months ago. I mean, it was like it was out of the world hype in the chat. There was tons of people chatting almost every day. And then, you know, as the progress of the game and developing goes on, those people move on. You know, 2 weeks in this space is 2 months. So you know, we just want to try and build that hype again.
And we're sitting in a weird spot right now
Yeah.
too, because nothing is really moving too much in the NFT space right now. We've seen a resurgence of Ethereum back over 3,300, and
35 it hit, didn't
yeah,
it?
it's moving up. Yeah, it's bobbing between 33 and 35 right now, and everyone's kind of biding time. We know the Apes got something planned as far as a land sale. We know there's projects out there that we probably should be getting into right now that are building and teasing out. It's a big building period right now. So, you know, it seems, and also I actually saw was Jack Settleman put this out there, and he said, once I know what my taxes are, I'm going to be going ham on this market once I know my liquidity. So that's another thing too. Just knowing we're all in a bit of that tenuous stage right now of just like, okay, I don't know how much I'm going to be paying yet. Let's find that out, and then let's get shopping. So we really are just kind of in this stage right now where we need to start getting this thing pumping again, and that's only going to happen if we do it, and not just us, but the community.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like you said, we're in a weird period because we're before talents are out, and I wonder how many people are holding their birds until they can actually see some steady consistency, you know, before they start throwing in a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people are, you know, with ETH going up, and people going to have a lot more liquidity typically here within the next couple of months. So it'll be interesting to see how the summer is when it comes to Chicken Derby.
Yeah, the summer could come quick because as soon as I know we keep saying as soon as the talents show up, and there's going to be a little bit of a period there where we got to get the talents right. Once we start seeing the talents, they might not be engaged quickly, but you know, once that happens, I'd hope we already have a nice base of hype just kind of built into it. So it's a natural thing to be like, so when you send out a tweet and you say talents are here, it's not going into the ether. It's hitting people's actual timelines, and they're waiting for it. And yes, they've been waiting for a while. Everyone's waiting for a while. How hot it was in the early days may have been based in the fact that the NFT market was hot when this released originally. And, you know, these games take a minute.
Yeah.
They just do.
But like we said, we're racing. So there's no reason not to pump it now and see, you know, what new people that are coming into NFT space even now can get on board. Gives them a good chance. So
absolutely.
So do we want to get into the little suggestions box or do the dev blog?
Let's do a little bit of dev blog. And that way I can just sort out the last little bits here and get them all set up.
Because we
ready.
really want to talk about talents and stuff afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
We need plenty of time to work out some tinfoil and wrap it real good.
Let's knock out this dev blog. There's not too much there. There's not too much there this week. So let's knock that out real quick. And then, of course, Twitter Raid. Jump into the Discord. Go to the Twitter Raid channel. And there is, in the announcements, there is a spot where you can hit an emote if you want to be on the Twitter Raid team, the Twitter Raid gang. So go ahead and jump in there and hop in. And Josh, take it away.
Yeah. The dev blog should be a little quicker this week as Deli has started adding the TLDR at the bottom. Dave says I
still
got to
read the
all.
rest.
So happy Friday. Last Saturday, they launched the S&D pecking orders to help how chickens were distributed and ensure they were running against chickens of a similar stature. They also increased the number of free chick races a chicken must run from 1 to 7 before receiving its pecking order, and returned all chickens to chick to get their free races. This obviously had a huge effect on the game. Prior to these changes, we had approximately 6,411 chickens in the A, B, and C pecking orders. While some chickens got out of chick and back into a pecking order quite quickly, only 2,894 have done so as of right now, with another 4,300 having done at least one race but still in chick. The slower population of chickens running has caused races to fill a lot slower, But waiting times are diminishing daily as more chickens get promoted. When we launched new pecking orders, it took 8 to 9 hours for a sub $5 paid race to fill. Each day, this delay has dropped, and sub $5 races currently fill within 2 hours. So don't threat about long wait times, as they will reduce as more chickens move out of chick, and that has been true. But I think there's another issue there that we will kind of talk about a little later, as far as races not filling as fast as a lot of people expect them to. So the TLDR, races fill faster each passing day. They're very pleased to see these new pecking orders are having the change they wanted. The chicken distribution is much fairer now, and chickens are more likely to race against those of similar stats. The best illustration of this can be seen here with these, how the pecking orders kind of break down. And as you can see, it's leveled off a lot. I mean, there only 199 lac had raced in S as of the 31st. And then they're looking at B class and 96 Seramas and up, or an A. And it seems to have leveled things off a lot, leveled the playing fields, made birds able to be competitive. D class, look at all them lower end birds getting ran now. The favorite here has been B, as it features such a wide range of chickens, every heritage represented across the 95% perfection range as well. Speaking of sub $5 races, there have been requests.
Oh, Josh, by the way, the dev blog isn't on the screen.
Oh, I'm dumb.
That's all right.
It's a good thing you're reading it all.
I just noticed that. That's all right.
I forgot to transition. My bad.
All good.
Shitty producer fired.
I was gonna catch it. It's all good, man.
It's okay. You can probably TLDR this section, so you don't have to read all the numbers.
Yeah.
More cheap races are gonna get added, and I assume that they will adjust it as ETH goes up as well. But we need to see more of those in the range of 1 and 2.
Yeah,
a lot more of those, I think.
I do like their note though that they set the prices and then ETH kind of doubled on them. Mm-hmm. So what was supposed to be a $2 race suddenly became a $4 race, and right. When it's pegged at a currency that moves with that much volatility, it's always going to be a little bit of a struggle to stay ahead of it.
Yeah. So with the race generation being added with the new pecking order changes, that added some unforeseen consequence to the logic for generating free races. Currently, they appear in clusters rather than gradually now again, which I think it's fun when a cluster pops up. I mean, just before we went live, there was about 5 B races that just kept coming up in a row, and I'm like, oh, pegging in there, gotta be quick.
Made me $10.
Those fill up fast. You gotta be quick. We got a free race tag in our Discord if you're into that.
Those little clusters of free races usually are what keep my days near the black.
Man, those get me into another race, which gives me hope.
They get you back up from 0.
Yep. So they're improving the logic to free race generation. Hopefully that comes this week. A lot of the devs have been focused on the back end of Chicken Derby and improving performance and security across the site. They've improved many technical things that couldn't even begin to explain, and some that I shouldn't due to security reasons. Yeah, obviously. Just know that they are working hard and each day making Chicken Derby stronger. Devs be devin'. Yeah. Another thing a lot of people noticed this last week is the chicken animations. Love that. That's usually been a good sign. I have seen some chickens that don't finish in the podium, but it's been getting less and less. Every time I see it, I'm like, well, that bird's getting on a podium.
I can't remember who it was that was pulling data on it. Did any of you guys see that? Benef, I think might be the right name. That's the one that was in my head, but I didn't want to wrongly shout him out for doing it. But I think he had that 3.4 or something average finishing position for birds that BAWK.
Yeah.
So
the insta-win animation.
BAWKing is good.
And you know what's funny?
Dice Arena says.
When I first saw my first bird BAWK, they got like 7th place. And I've come to realize that was their worst track. So maybe they could have done a lot worse if they didn't have that. So
Would have been 12th without the
yeah.
BAWK.
Fletch says sometimes more than one bird does it. It's rare, and I've seen it as
Yeah.
well.
I've seen-
You see
yep, I've seen that
I've
too.
seen up to 3, I think, do it before, but I can't remember if all 3 podiumed or not. But I have seen more than one do it. I love it.
I've
So
seen
this-
2 BAWK and they both get on a podium. So yeah.
So they call this
absolutely.
the bonus BAWK. They won't say much about it, but they will say that every chicken can do this, and if your chicken does it, it's a good thing. They're going to be adding more fun animations like this over time, including this one, which I'll just say this. I think Poseidon and I were chatting in the main like a week or so ago, and we were talking about the BAWK animation and if they were going to add more. And I think him and I were discussing like a sleepy one, like
Oh,
where
no.
if your chicken's sitting in.
Well, thanks, Josh. We all gonna love seeing this before the race starts.
Yeah,
I'm just
'cause
gonna
it's
turn the
been-
race off.
But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to
Log
lose. I don't think that was my whole thing. Like maybe it shocks him out of the gate when the gun goes off. Like
I'm kind of
he
hoping
bolts
that
out.
some chickens perform better when they have the BAWK, and some chickens perform better when they have the sleep. And it can happen vice versa.
Maybe the sleepy eyes wake up and they get going.
I don't
That'd
know.
be cool.
That's
Yeah,
just
I
it. When that horn goes off to start the race, maybe their eyes light up and they freaking just jet out of the gate.
When it comes to like real horse racing, the horse that's all the wildest in the gate isn't always the horse that wins.
Right,
He's
yeah.
only the horse that ends up finishing last.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if your horse is literally sleeping in the gate, that might not be
You
good.
just got to smack him.
yeah. Just bursts awake and starts going. Yeah.
He hears the horn go off and he's just, whoa,
Yep.
and off he goes.
Shh. That concludes this weekly dev blog. So we'll see you
Dang.
next week and let that
Yeah.
chicken. Oh yeah, this is the network error they were talking about was causing loading issues. The devs have
Mhm.
informed, and they're going to fix it ASAP. Which they did get races up running. I believe was it late last night?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It was into
Late
our
last night.
evening.
hmm
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a dev blog. Short and sweet. Hammered through it.
So
Can't
yeah.
wait to see more of these animations and more stuff coming.
So yeah, funny enough, a lot of what was discussed in the dev blog was actually things that the community is still feeling a little, I don't want to say frustrated, but it's the things that they've brought up that they're still hoping to see some improvements on. And the way I created the forum was just general sentiment, then asking for suggestions you wish the developers would consider, and then if there's any real concerns or criticisms. I know Dave was worried that it was just going to be shit posting of people angry and pissed off, but the interesting thing, and I'll just lead off with this for starters. The general sentiment, it was the only thing that I wanted you to I made as a requirement for the forum. And the worst thing I got was bullish, starting to feel a little bearish, but I still trust the devs are going to figure it out. Everyone else is still saying either overall positive experience or they're feeling generally just confident still, bullish even on some of them. So in the end, I still feel like even though we have a long way to go and we have found ourselves at times impatient and at times feeling just a little worried or even, I don't want to say cynical with the whole thing. Everyone's still, at least from what I had here, and there even were a few anonymous ones that decided not to put their names in, and even those ones, they still had a generally positive sentiment about all this. So that's good to see. I know a lot of us are still super hopeful and hoping that we're going to get ourselves to a place where we're all confident, we're all feeling comfortable, but just for starters, it seems like, of course, the cheaper races is the biggest thing. And, I like you, Dave, what you said before, they wanted to make it cheaper and ETH just had different plans. So we're at that point now where hopefully they can reset that, because that was by and large the biggest thing that popped up over and over again, is just hoping that we have cheaper races. And I know, Blake, you were talking about this a little bit before the show, as far as like what kind of setup we should have. Some people were even saying that Ben F put a part in there that was frustrated about even seeing $500 races when there's no real possibility that they can fill it. And that's a fair point,
Right.
Showing up like that. So maybe we can talk a minute about just exactly what that schedule, what we think it should look like as far as, the selection of races we should be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I brought up in my opinion, I think that in every class there needs to be at least $1 races, $3 races in every class, and then 2 other races in that class, and those can be anything above that, whether it's a $10 race or $20 race, maybe the occasional. I think $100 race should be like a once a month type deal where everybody can kind of gather around, do the whole Twitter thing, and have it as like an event. Right. Otherwise, it just sits there. It doesn't feel, and there's real no build up to it, if that makes sense. So I think that the best case scenario is to keep the low races right now, at least 3 of them. And that way people can test, do their testing and not blow the bank. But what do you guys think?
I just think those races sitting there forever. And yeah, you can enter your bird and you can get it unlocked in 4 hours. But I mean, I just don't like. There's some races on there. Like there's a $500 race up there. Like, I don't see that race filling anytime soon. Or at all. I would much rather see a bunch of like $1 to $2 races up there for, I mean, it's beta still, and we're testing this game out. And, I think the sentiment is that, we're trying to obviously figure out our own birds, and, obviously we don't need a bunch of free races, but I just think cheaper races in the long run will help the devs and us, because it'll bring more people in to start racing. More chickens, more wallets means more races, which means more rake for them still in the long run, I feel like. So I mean, it's a win-win here for everybody in a sense, just to get more racing in. You get it, Tyler.
Thank you. Blake, you had a good point. Back when we had just one big race and it filled, everyone flocked to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing now. There isn't just one big race for everyone to run to.
Right.
And yeah, it is a little tricky to make sure you have the right bird for that race, but still, it definitely drove a little something in the early days.
Yeah, and I think you got to keep in mind now we've got 5 classes. So the right bird with the right wallet with the right bankroll is a little bit more spread out now, right?
Sure.
You may have some whales who don't have an S-class bird to even go into that race. Or, now that they're seeing some of these birds are harder to beat, they might not want to go in against certain chickens that have sort of already established their reputation as belonging in high stakes races, right? So it's a tough spot right now when it's kind of the same, 1,000 coops racing over and over. We all sort of know who's in what tier.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of us seem to be in the $1 to $3 is sort of where we want to do most of our racing. I'll occasionally jump up to the 5 to 10 range, but that's only I'll only do that with one of my birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are sort of feeling that same way, where it's like, I want to race a lot during the day, but I also only want to kind of lose $20 a day.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't think they need to get rid of them completely. I mean, you could have a range from $1 to $100, and then maybe a couple or like one race up there that's like a $200 to $300 race. Those have been getting filled gradually throughout open beta, but it's I think a wider range of $1 to $20 races would be a lot more enticing for people to jump into.
But even
still having free race pop up,
I don't even see I think anything over $5 is filling really slow. $1 races fill within like 10 to 15 minutes. Everything above $5, even the $4 races are taking forever to fill. So I think you got to look at what people are racing, and you got to give us less options at this point, because if there's you know, I think people will just wait
Mhm.
until their best race comes up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Ross just asked the chat. He says, anyone in this chat have a bird they would bet $200 on? And like, here's something like, and this kind of leads into what I was thinking about anyway, and a point I wanted to bring up about discovery and whatnot, which is kind of, you know, a what we're all here to do right now is just discover. So yeah, I do have one bird that I'm really confident in on a certain course. When 100 track shows up, I put this bird in basically whenever I see it. As long as I have the money to do it, even if it's in a $20 range, I put it in because I'm very confident in the stats as once put out. However, a lot of us haven't gotten to that point yet where we have a bird, even one bird, where we're happy about that. And then that $20 race, if it's not the track and course you want, then you're not going to do it. You're not going to jump in. And in order to find ourselves to that point, that same bird that I am hyper confident on at 100 track had a 6 race streak where they didn't go above 6. And then they had about an 8 race streak where they absolutely went on a tear. So if you're just in a natural state where you are in discovery and you are checking out 100 track and you'll lose 6 in a row, good chance you're going to move on unless they're like $1 or $2. You'll press through a little bit if they're really cheap. But you're not going to get to the point because those $5, they catch up really quickly. And there's still just a lot of people trying to figure out the process. Mm-hmm. And even when I was talking, I think it was a Spiver and I forget who else was in the main chat, but there's some days when you look at your data and you can't figure out a thing. And then after
every day.
Yep, pretty much.
But then all of a sudden, after another couple of days of racing, you go check again, you go, oh, there's something there. Okay, now I can run with that, but you have to have the races to do so. So, and that really is just the overall largest sentiment here. Sentiment is that we want the cheaper races so we can figure it out. When the time comes, yeah, we're all about. We know we have degenerates in here that are going to bet big, but we need to understand them first.
Well, and there's degenerates now that are paying still, up to get into the bigger races. I mean, that's why we're saying I wouldn't take them all away. We just need a little more range in the $1 to $3 range. So I guarantee more people jump in if they see a little more, like Blake said, 2 or 3 $1 to $2 races in every class. I think would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the one logistical challenge, I guess, just to kind of put on the dev perspective as best as I can, is if there's a constant churn of $1 and $2 races, it makes those $5 races so much more kind of pointless. People are going to keep entering the 1 and the 2 over and over. They'll keep running that cycle. They're not going to touch the 5, right? So it makes that mid tier less appealing. Because I can run 5 cheap races
with a degenerate brain, and once I run 5 to 10 of these $1 races, and say I win 2 or podium in 3 or 4 of them, I'm gonna start looking at those $5 to $10 races, and just going, all right, I'm gonna double that up, I'm gonna triple that up, I'm gonna keep going. We're climbing the ladder.
Yeah, but it only needs to be like, again, 1 or 2 of those. If it's an $8 race that's out there, I think it'll fill over 30 to 45 minutes.
And that's the challenge. Will always be my track. If there's only one $5 race and it's not the right thing, it might sit there. But what we're seeing now is there's typically a tipping point in those races filling. When they get 6 or 8 birds, then suddenly people are like, "Oh, I can jump into that. That's going to fill in the next little bit."
Yeah,
it's that 0 to 6 that takes.
Well, and that's the thing. I think another reason why they're taking so long is there's only one option, and if it's not anyone's, like if it's like a 180 rock or something, or it's just throwing out a random one, it takes a while sometimes to fill that $5 race. I think if you added a couple of them, like there are a few of like $3 or $4 races, and they have been generating, but there is a time where it's like they're the same distance or the same terrain. It's just there's not much. There is not much like of a. What am I trying to, what I'm trying to say? It's, you keep seeing the same races pop in and out, and it's not your preferred that you think you got a bird that you can run on it. So you're just going to sit there and wait it out.
Yeah. Yep. Whereas I'll waste $1 or $2 on data.
Right.
Yeah. When it's
what I tell myself.
10 of 12, 11 of 12, I'm entering. It's like, I'll try this one. It's like, I know full well it's not going to work, but I'll do it. But yeah, I actually had one situation where I had 100 track and it was a $2 and there was a $10, and it was the only reason I went the $2 instead of the $10 is I knew I'd be able to run that $2 before the 10 ever filled. So I waited till I went to bed. I put the $2 to $10 in, so I knew the 4 hours would elapse. I'd be asleep anyway, and then it eventually ran. But yeah, I will run those bigger ones when I know my bird's right. So, but in the meanwhile, those birds took me a lot. I have 2,070 races ran for me. I've ran a lot of. And I know it's not weird. It's the God honest truth.
What's your ROI? What's your ROI?
Sucks, but that's all right because I definitively have about 6 birds figured out now. But think about that. That took me a long time. And
you have bingo for any of your birds, where you've got the chart full. I'm trying to fill my matrix chart.
Some of them are a scattershot mess, and the other ones I pushed too hard on one for too long.
Speaking of the bingo chart with the matrix that's on knowyourwallet.io, by the way, I love it. And what I want to allude back to a point that Tyler made earlier of he had 6 straight races where a bird that he thinks that he's got dialed in didn't podium, and then it had a string of like 6 out of 7 podiums. A lot of people haven't ran a bird on a single terrain and distance more than maybe 2 or 3 times. A lot of them. Like I've ran a lot of races. Even with Casey Jones, I'm over 100 races with him. There's still distance and terrains that I've only hit 1 or 2 of.
If you finish 12th, you're probably not running them again, though. That's the reason why.
Right. And that discovery is just wrong because it might be right. Yeah.
Because here's the deal. If you finish first, I'll run them again and I'll finish last. You know, it is how it normally happens. So.
Right. I see the 1 or 2 races and my average podium position's 10th place. I'm probably not going to that one.
So normally what I've been kind of doing.
That's not even close to enough data. You know what I mean? Right. It's definitely not even close. 2 races is not figuring your bird out for that spot. So, I mean, it's like.
No, but there's 42 combinations.
Yeah.
Right. Like even if you were the most deliberate and filled in each square on your bingo card, 3 races on each track, you're already at 120 races, 430 races
to get effective data.
So you got to race like Tyler just to get your chart filled in.
Yeah.
And that's 1 bird.
But so what I've been doing is if I win a race, then I'm more likely to run its last place races just because I want to get more data. I want to make sure that they're really crappy at those before I move on.
And that's just another point in the direction of, at least at this moment, while we're in open beta, we're in the early stages. We don't even have talents yet. Talents are going to turn everything on their head once again. All the people doing just God's work, trying to figure out times, are going to get crushed once they realize times won't matter once we have talents, because if you get hit by a black hole, now that time is completely screwed. Yep. So like we're doing everything we can now while we can to figure these things out, as times might matter right now, but once talents hit, we might run out of time.
And that's the other thing is discovering your bird now before talents are thrown in is going to be a big leg up, because if you get your bird figured out before we get, or if you haven't figured a bird out before talents, it's going to get a lot harder when talents come in, because those are just going to be all over the place.
What are you going to do with your results tracking when talents come in? Like, are you going to put a note on every one of your races? Like, I was impacted by a talent. My talent went off in this race.
I think that needs to be included in the data. How many times that you're affected by a talent on
how are you going to track that?
Or distance? I don't know.
You're going to have to watch the race.
I know.
Every race.
And log it manually.
Like, but if you miss a race, like I know.
Bird strike, log it.
Like, I don't know how Know Your Wallet's going to pull that for you, right? I think you're going to have to do that yourself. Or you're going to get a partial data sampling.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're like me or Tyler, which I will sometimes go and just check the results, right?
I do,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't watch 2,000 races.
Because you'd almost want to keep that separate. You'd almost want to keep that a completely separate, different type of tracking, right? I raced 30 times on 100 dirt, and 10 of those races I was affected by a talent. Throw all that out. Or
I think
when your talent goes off.
I think more importantly is going to be the percent that any talent goes off, more so than what your bird does. Because what that means is, like, let's say rollerblades goes off at 30%. Well, if your bird hasn't hit rollerblades out of 10 races, chances are out of the next 5 races, it's probably going to hit it twice. by average, right?
And you
At
know
least.
what? I'm going to do just a little pivot here because we definitely want to get into talents, and this I think it's a natural segue here to do that.
Oh,
There's
we're done
some,
with the.
well, here's
I was
the
gonna
thing.
say, are there any more?
That was all our feedback. No.
No, there's some good feedback here, but some of it's about breeding, and that would take us on a whole nother track that I want to get into.
It's a whole
Some of
different
it's about-
episode.
Right.
Yeah,
so
we can bring these up another time.
Yeah.
too.
Exactly. I'm going to
It'll
keep
be open
using
ended.
these as
People
we go.
can keep adding to it, and we will bring it up
Yeah.
every show if we need to.
And I closed off the responses, but I might open it up again and just leave it something where it's
I'd just
there.
leave it
People
open.
want to get, I might leave it back open again because, we could get into a lot more of this stuff. And there's some really good stuff that people will put in here that I don't want to just ignore, but it would take a while to go through it all. But the biggest thing has been people feel like they need a little bit more time to run these cheaper races so they can figure out their birds. And I know that all of us degens are going to start going crazy once we think we have a little bit of conviction on a bird, we're going to run into it. So that's all we're going to get into the feedback for now. We're going to use this as we go. And I say it's very important now that we start talking about this little piece that they dropped in on us, like almost 2 weeks ago now that we haven't gotten to.
Yeah, it's been
And,
like 3
yeah,
now,
the
I
talents.
believe.
Yeah, we got it with
They've updated
with open beta.
They've updated the tutorial a lot since we first went over it back in July of 21. Yeah,
30 something episodes ago.
39, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they've added a frequency underneath each talent, and each talent has its own frequency meter ranging from low to high, and this also ranges through all tiers. So yes, we'll start off with common talents. You know, the anvil, you fully expected that one to go off at a high rate because it seemed to be the most common talent.
What is high, do you guys think? 40%?
See, that's tricky, man. Like,
And
Yeah.
if there's 5 anvils in a race, only 2 to 3 per race.
well,
This
you
is
know,
where it's going to be interesting.
Anvils
to see.
everywhere.
well, this is where what
Anvil's
this
flying.
is where we might just get surprised. You know, whatever they have up their sleeve, because they've said like the longer a race goes on, the more probability there are more talents. They've said 1 to 2 for probably the shorter ones and whatnot, but they haven't given us anything definitively yet. But we're seeing like high frequency of anvils. Yeah, does that mean that we're going to see? Could we see like 4 anvils go off in one race? Could we just
Probably.
see talents run amok? This could turn into an
Anvils and blue
absolute
eggs.
chaos show. So yeah.
No, it's like there's a whole range here, and the common talents are all medium to high. Oh no, rollerblades is low. I did forget that. But yeah, most of them medium to high range of frequency of going off. You get into the uncommon talents. Blue egg is a high frequency talent, and then the others are all mediums.
Mhm.
You get into the rare talents. This is the one that kind of caught my eye: a cold snap going off at a high frequency. Now, my thoughts behind these frequencies, and you know, the ones being high, I assume have less effect than the rest.
Well, I think I've cracked
not-
the code on this. If I could, like, I
Go
really do feel like I cracked the code. And everyone can look at it to make sure that I haven't missed anything. It appears to me that the high frequencies affect other chickens, but don't give you a speed boost. The mediums give you a speed boost and affect other chickens, and then the lows, they're simply just some of the more devastating ones, which does make me wonder. Like, the one thing that does throw
Those
me off,
devastating rollerblades.
that's the thing. That's the one that throws me off. And Fledge said it too. The frequency of rollerblades is interesting, but that's a pretty maybe that because we do see the half pipe come out and he flips over, but obviously so cold snap, it pulls out the book and it puts a spell on everybody else. I don't think it makes them run faster. So it seems like to me the high
it freezes.
frequencies.
I assume it freezes or slows the other chickens down.
Yeah. So
a powerful spell that will send a chill to the tender bones of any nearby chicken. They'll be frozen in their tracks, allowing your chicken to take the lead. Oh, so it sounds like they stop completely.
Yeah, but it doesn't speed you up. It
No.
only speeds you up because everyone stopped. So that seems to be the breakdown in my mind when I've looked at it. The way
So that your
these people
chicken
have.
takes the lead every time? So is it just frozen until you get into the lead?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Allowing your chicken to take the lead.
I mean, it could just be playful words, but still
allowing. It
sounds
doesn't
like
say guaranteed. It says
Right.
it allows them.
Yeah.
because you're freezing the nearby chickens, right? So it might just be the 2 lanes next to you or whatever get frozen.
Yeah, we don't know that too. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, it could just be
Any
playful
nearby
words. But
chicken. So I'm curious what's the range? How many lane? What's the lane
Uh-huh.
range on that?
right.
When you start jotting down your notes, when we
Yeah.
start seeing talents.
Is that you know what you kind of see in the races that they run in segments, like clearly like 3 or 4 take the front. So it's like, is it going to be those ones in the front that all get hit, or is it proximity by lane? So I guess we'll find that out too.
Yeah, because we have heard from the devs that like certain talents will affect like neighboring chickens. So with the with the move away from originally being pick your lane into random lanes, like that impacts some of the talents. Like if you're if you're in lane 1 and your talent affects adjacent chickens, well, too bad, so sad. You only get to affect 1 now instead of 2.
Like machete is probably only hitting the ones next to him, although I would love just the machete just to get thrown off and
across
like
12 lanes.
And looks like the one at the very top gets his head cut off at the end, and it's like, come on, he was in lane 1. Like I would love that. But yeah, they're probably just adjacent in that regard, but maybe Cold Snap, grabs everybody in the front, and that gives you, or everyone in the middle, but then again, if you do Cold Snap and you're in the middle, you're going to want the ones at the front or ones ahead of you to get caught. So yeah.
But yeah, and you get into the rares. Like I said, Cold Snap is a high rate, and then Devo and Moving Walkway are mediums, and then as you'd expect, very rare talents have a low frequency, because I would assume if these are a very low frequency, these are devastating.
Powerful.
Like these are field crushers.
So we've always looked at these 2 as being win buttons, essentially. From the first draft of the tutorial, I think we all kind of felt. So it's just so odd to me that Rollerblades is in the same tier of frequency as these 2, where it's like, is Rollerblades a win button?
I think that's the only other low.
Like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's it. It's these 2 and
the
Rollerblades.
only other low.
So when your Rollerblades pops off, is it a win button? Is it going to be that impactful?
Maybe it
like
jumps
your
you way
chicken's
up.
just going nuts.
Maybe his backflip off the ramp gives him so much gain that he jumps way out in front.
Because I don't know whether that should pump rollerblades or fun rollerblades.
Like that's the weird thing, is that like Rollerblades was definitely one that I was just always like, Rollerblades, fine. Like if I had a choice between Rollerblades and any of the other common talents, and that was it, I would go with another one. So I don't know if that's that's part of it, but yeah, the low frequency is a weird one.
I unlisted a Rollerblades chicken when I saw this. Like it's a low end lack, but I'm like, Rollerblades?
Yeah.
Might be good for breeding or something if people want rollerblades.
Yeah, but this is looking at it again, seeing teleporter, like that's medium, so that affects you and another chicken. So yeah, it seems to me that the mediums give you a boost and takes out somebody else. The high frequency only takes out or affects other chickens, and in low frequency, we'll find out. I mean, that's really the big thing here. So
yeah, and I think
pretty cool.
And I think in the end, all the ones in the rarity tier are going to have about the same effect. So the one that goes off more often has less impact. The one that goes off medium amount probably has a bit more impact.
Yeah.
Just so that they basically balance out.
The mid-range. And yeah, like the high ones, like other than Blue Egg taking out the leader, that's pretty effective, but only if you're like in second place or in the front. If you're in the back,
if you're in 12th and you can't benefit.
Here's another point to that. Talents are also going to help racers that don't have any talents go off. So your bird's in second place and that leader gets hit by the 8th place Blue Egg, right? All of a sudden my bird's in first. Yep.
I mean, that's the Mario Kart joy when someone else hits the leader for you and you're just like smooth sailing.
The chat has taken out rollerblades and multiple people, with Professor Falcon being the last one. Maybe rollerblades just sucks. As much as we don't want it to.
No,
they wouldn't do that though.
Just sucks.
They wouldn't. They don't think they
wouldn't.
Would,
I think because of its power, they have to make its frequency less than the others.
I'm guessing that means it's a big boost. It's got to be just a big boost, but it can't be a bigger boost than I guess it could be a bigger boost than moving walkway, because the moving walkway, the crack construction crew comes out and that affects people next to you. So yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Are we gonna see simultaneous talents?
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense logistically, but it'd be cool.
As your rollerblade is rollerblading, can he get hit by the blue egg?
Can he get hit with the rocket off the helicopter?
Well, no, I don't. Now, here's the thing. I don't think so, because that adds a whole nother level of animation being added in.
Right.
So I can't.
And we're going to see the cut scenes too, so it's probably going to be designed to have one outfit each time.
Yeah, I think we're probably looking at somewhere in, because that's another thing. Is it going to be at the end? Like, are we going to see Jetpack literally take you to the victory? That so we don't know when they're going to. Yeah. But it's pretty simple. Like, once one gets engaged, another can't. So it might not happen the same time in every single race, but I would imagine once one starts engaging, another one can't until that one finishes, which is why they probably wanted to keep the pace of the chickens looking the way it did, because they kind of know that.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see the sprinting birds as much when talents happen. So are birds going to be like sprinting?
I think so. I wouldn't think that would go away.
The ones that go to sleep are the ones that get shot by the CK-47.
Joey Cervelli, it doesn't say they take off their rollerblades. What if they wear them the rest of the race?
And then they win. By
rollerblades. Goes off at a low frequency.
Fledge just asked what happens to the first place sets off the blue egg. He can't remember how it works in Mario Kart. Now, typically you don't get the blue egg unless you're in the back of the pack, but you could get blue egg and then, or in that case, the blue shell, and then get the first place. I don't know what would it probably hit second place.
I thought you could get blue egg.
Yeah, you could throw it behind you.
Blue egg any point at any point.
Yeah, you could throw it behind
you. The rear, was it?
Not, I mean, typically.
Or that was the other one.
Yeah, the higher probability of getting it if you were in the back.
If we want to dig. If we're going to dig into Mario Kart, let's get it accurate. You cannot get the blue shell if you're in first place. You can really only basically get red and green shells.
It's been 5 years.
But if you get it
in first,
but if you get it when you're in ninth,
have to be in last though.
But yes, the probability slides. The further forward you are, the less.
But I'm literally going to do this. I'm going to get a blue egg in like ninth place, and then I'm going to try to get the first place and use it and see what happens. Or I'll Google it. I'm sure someone else has already done it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could just ask the internet that one real quick.
You'd blue egg yourself, Joey says. Yeah.
Someone in the chat has probably already Googled this.
Fan group provides a meat shield. Yes, it does. Yeah. As the fans storm the field. Man, I love these write-ups too. Like these write-ups that they have for the descriptions are great.
Dr. Droob.
One thing I want to say is that Apex has dropped this random image in the Discord one day with no context whatsoever other than
zero.
We know about this character that they've got created named Dr. Droob, who is behind a lot of these talents like growth, using a strange potion created by the deranged Dr. Droob. Your chicken will quadruple in size, giving them a steady speed advantage that will trounce the competition. Now, take out your tinfoil. I want to know what you guys think this means. This little image here of a chicken in a my brain goes to Star Wars and a Bacta tank, like Luke Skywalker healing.
It almost looks like an incubator.
Yeah, I thought
so. That cloning vibe.
Clone vibe.
I'm thinking like maybe a talent. Maybe this is
how they get their talents.
Yeah,
I thought that too.
Dr. Droob's gonna give them a new talent.
It would be that's kind of cool if they were working with like an animator and like doing sweet like backstory videos or something for the marketing phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like how did a chicken get a growth talent? Like explaining that like in an actual like 2-minute animated short.
Mutating chickens.
Yeah,
I know. That's the thing. Crazy J says mutating chickens, and there's a lot of mutants and mutant serums and whatnot in the NFT space. So it got people thinking what that could turn into. But Ross said a little regeneration vibe going on in there. Maybe Joey just said maybe it mutates into a new talent, and that's where we get the new talents. Because obviously they said that the new traits and not just new talents and new traits. Remember they said new things could come from breeding. So not just talents. They didn't rule out talents. We knew that other things could come from breeding, where maybe that's where you get the robot black chicken, which, believe me, when that has to happen, I think it does. And when it does, forget about it. It's probably going to be the most valuable chicken.
Yeah, Fledge said someone named their coop Dr. Droob
Yep.
Genetics, and I saw that earlier tonight, and I love it.
It's a good name.
It's a great name. But yeah,
you're gonna steal your coop name right out of the tutorial. That's a good one to steal.
I just thought it was kind of, this came out of nowhere. And in classic Apex fashion, he just says, how does this make you feel?
Yeah.
He just gets bored and drops nuggets.
Bully.
Love it. Confused?
Yeah.
Think good?
That's great. Ooh, Reno said maybe you can change your talent. Maybe it's something you can actually put your chicken into and change your talent long term. I don't know.
Maybe after you get the bingo card,
blades.
maybe after you unlock the bingo card, then you get to change a roll of talent.
Right. There you go. Nailed it.
But you can only upgrade to the next level. You can't get
well, yeah, that. That's where my brain kind of goes to. What if you can upgrade your chicken? Not
is it pay to play? Is it pay
with tokens? Yeah.
Yeah. In-game token, transform your chicken.
And honestly, the token thing was a big reason why, there was a lot of other feedback about breeding in here. And there was some interesting stuff in there that I really want to get into. And I've had the thought that the token should be you should have to have the token in order to breed, and that's how breeding works. So this is a whole nother episode that we get into and all that I think will be good down the line, which is why I want to spread out this feedback. I don't want to glaze over all this stuff. You guys took some time to send in some stuff, and I think it's really cool stuff. I was actually really happy with everything that came in, and I was worried how I was going to get it all in tonight, and I'm glad that I've just decided let's move it on and let it, and I'll give everyone their credit when the time comes, because we got a whole thing
save
about
them, because there's a lot that'll come up on other topics, I'm sure.
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have chicken sex for episode 40.
Crazy chicken sex. That's what I said. A regenerating pod. Back to tank. Boba Fett.
All right.
For right after we get a fatigue factor.
Yep.
So we got a barn drive going on.
We do.
What's a barn drive?
We do.
Yeah. What's a barn drive? So we got into this a little bit last week, but obviously we didn't want to just kind of hammer it over their head since we had a guest, and we didn't want to just bring on the chig and talk about chicken tools and then just hammer them with our own barn drive. But yes, we do have a barn drive that is going on right now. And I'm sure Josh has that at some point to bring it up, and I'll filibuster until then. But yeah, we are giving away some chickens once we reach certain tiers on purchasing some of these barns. We're just trying to do a little bit of a extra incentive to get in now and get yourself a chance. So the details go a little bit deeper. So if you haven't checked it out yet, it's in the announcements, and I think I'm going to make its own little channel tab so people can just pop in and always take a look and see what's going on there. I'll update the progress and how we're doing. I think we're at 9 barns sold now, which is really cool. Almost at that first tier where we will be giving away I believe this is a 90 cold snap. Is that the first one, or did we go 94?
I believe that's a 90 moving walkway.
Okay, yeah.
Where's the other one?
Yeah.
I thought you had
with a barn.
picture.
Yep. I did have a better one that we had. That's all right. It's all right there in the chat. It's all announcements, and obviously I put it on Twitter too.
But yeah, there's
there we go.
90. This is 90 dork with a rare talent. This is 97 with candy and I believe blue egg. This is a 97 sultan. This is a 96 rare talent dorking, and then this is a 97 vampire Lackenfelder. Yeah, once we hit each tier, go 10, 20, every 10 barns we sell, it'll unlock. And then once we get all the way through, we'll give away barns, these birds, and some other.
Yeah, and it was Dave's idea to go tier 3 and put the Sultan in there, because if we get ourselves to tier 3, I think that's pretty cool. We want to definitely be able to give you guys something really nice there. And a 97 Sultan, we love that we could have grabbed that for what we did. The 97 Lakenvelder vampire is much more rare, but we don't know what they do yet. And maybe by then
it's a 97 lack.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
bonus
97
that it's
black.
got
The vampire, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, we've got this going on, and also buying into the Coop Collective 548, that gets you into the exclusive breeding rights down the road. We'll give away of all of the Coop Collective stud barn birds. As you can see here, we got a link to that in the announcements. And it also gets you into poker tournaments, which
we did some shopping today,
poker
didn't we?
tournaments. We're going to be doing a holder. Coop Collective 548 holder poker tourney.
Number 2.
Saturday.
2nd edition.
Yeah, we're going to the full detail. I'm going to drop the full details out tomorrow, including the prizes.
Yep.
And whatnot. And we'll try to figure out another time that is helpful to everybody. I think the last time we ran it was pretty good as far as timing goes.
Yeah, and we'll have this set up. Yeah. We'll have the registration open once we drop the announcement. And then there will be a late registration period, unlike last times. For anybody that shows up just a minute late and didn't get in, we'll have a little grace period to allow you to get in, late register, and let's play some poker.
Yeah,
well,
so obviously, I know it'll come. Watch. We'll figure it out. Yeah,
one of these days we'll do one with like a bounty on ourselves or something.
Right? Yeah, something wild, fun like that. Yeah, we'll have some. We got some chicken prizes. We got some barns. Yeah,
we did some shopping today, right, Josh?
Yeah, we got a couple rare talent birds for.
Somebody I saw one pop up, very cheap, right at the floor, and I didn't have my ETH converted over to WETH yet, because I was trying to not put too much money in my WETH account so I wouldn't burn it all racing. Yep. So I was trying to do the smart thing, and this thing pops up, and I'm like, I grabbed my phone, I texted Josh, I was like, buy this now.
Yeah, so we ended up nabbing a 94 Lackenvelder with cold snap, right?
Yep.
For 0.027. And then we got another rare talent Dorking. I think it was a 94 as well.
Yeah.
0.03. So, I mean, it just made sense that these could be used for some poker prizes. Absolutely.
Tossing a barn in there. Yeah, we'll get that all straightened out, but we are going to shoot for next weekend to get this going again. So if you want to get in, obviously, all you have to do is own a 548 NFT. So if you're thinking about doing it between barn drive and poker, it's a good time.
Yep.
It's a good time to hop in.
And we've got another one in the can that we've been saying we've got a couple poker nights coming up. We're delivering on this one. We've got another one in the can. I think that we'll give you more details once we get it all sorted out, but we're trying to make it a little bigger, better than what we have done. But we're trying.
We might be prized up for a couple things, right? We got some birds tucked away for the first racing tournament. We got some birds tucked away for poker nights. So get your barn, and there'll be fun ahead.
Yeah, Absolutely. We're getting more birds too. We're going to be getting more birds. We're always going to be getting more birds.
And then once we have a steady stream of racing, we'll be launching some tournaments. We'll be doing some other fun, like the other fun giveaways, other fun things. Always, we're always thinking of other things that we can do to give back to our holders. And
I think we got a few more dev birds to give away too.
Yeah, we got a couple.
So we're gonna come up with something fun to do that. Yeah. Maybe we can do some kind of last place or the worst ROI for the week or something. We're going to come up with something fun for that, so it's not just whoever wins the most or something gets it again. So.
And don't forget, Ken Street, as generous as that gentleman is, he did donate a Sarama that once we do sell out of the 548 barns, that bird will be given away to the holders. So whenever that is, no rush to do it. I mean, once barns sell out, hell, it could be a year from now. That Sarama could be worth 1 ETH. You never know. You're muted again.
Did it again. That's twice now.
Back to my old days. You can bulldoze as well as you do, often as you mute yourself.
Yeah,
bulldozing while muted. It's a skill.
It can't be replaced. I'll tell you that right now. Don't even try me. JOS Kent, you're the man. Really appreciate you jumping off with this Twitter raid, and of course Fledge being a part of it as well. Fledge wasn't here, but we were talking about it in pure Fledge form, but he'll go back.
We even said nice things about Fledge.
We even said nice things about
and the show didn't crash.
Yeah, amazing. Just to reiterate again, Kent and Fledge, we got Twitter raids going on. It's a meme contest. You can win yourself a tweeter. His name is a 90 unraced lack, and for a chance to get even more. And to be honest, I might try and spice that up a little bit somehow if I can.
The
We'll
one-upper
stay
is back.
tuned.
The one-upper is back.
It's not really a one-up by any means. These chickens that you have a chance to win if you race that bird in the time
They're awesome,
that
yeah.
they're given. I mean, I'm not.
I love the
that.
classic. I love the classic with the blue, and Rainbow Warrior is such a good name. And
Yep.
yeah.
Striped
Although
Sultan,
I'm not going to be part of
Cockinator.
this. This is for everybody else.
97 Lack White Beak. I mean, these are good chooks. Can't argue
Absolutely.
that.
Love this
Yeah.
community. Love
So,
everybody putting these things together.
Stay on the lookout for the Twitter Raids channel. Go get yourself a barn if you haven't. If you're just getting here. A lot of cool things going on, and we got a lot more coming, hopefully. I think that wraps it up. You guys got anything else?
I like classics.
I like classics.
I like classics. I like
Time draw.
memes. I like memes. Get those
I'm gonna have
memes
to get
out
on
there.
the memes. The memes
Memes.
need to be fire. I'm gonna have to pull out the old drawing tablet.
Yeah, I
Start
think
to
it's only
draw.
72 hours, right, for the memes. 72 hours till Tweeter gets put out there, and then obviously the streak of races begins. And I hope you're creative. So if you're making memes, hopefully you are creative, and we're gonna pump those in the Twitter Raids channel for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why we created the Twitter Raids. You drop your tweet in there, and we'll get it out, retweet it. Cock Talk Twitter retweets about anything you post. So get it up there and get it out there, and let the
and in
shout from the
announcements right
rooftops.
now. The last announcements we have, all you have to do is hit the emote of the moving emote there of all the chickens moving. It was gift number 4, the way they had it put there. Just hit that emote. I'll put you on the Twitter Raid gang, and you'll be part of us trying to grow this game out a little bit. So big shout out to Fledge and JOS Kent tonight. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. So Garn Drive, Poker Night, don't forget, and Tweeter Bird giveaway.
And win talents.
Win talents, win chicken sex. Dave hasn't said that yet today.
He did.
Yes, he did.
You
He
missed
missed
him
it.
on that one.
We're talking about chicken sex next week, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. All right. With that, I am at Grateful Coops in the Coop Collective Discord and Chicken Derby chat. I have at Pecking Order Racing above me, at MBF Express over there on the left, and Water Racing down in the corner. Tag us, hit us up, ask questions. We don't care. Join the Coop Collective Discord. Ask us for a link. It's in the bottom of the channel here. Other than that, we'll see you next week, fam. Goodbye.
See ya. Bye.
Chicken sex.